Hey folks, imagine this. It's pitch black outside, the kind of night where the city lights flicker like they're about to give up, and you're rushing to catch the last L train out of downtown Chicago. You slide through the doors just in time, heart pounding, only to look around and realize something's not right. The car is full, but nobody's moving. Nobody's breathing quite like they should. That's when the real chill sets in. Before I dive into this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our channel. We've got a ton more terrifying tales lined up, the kind that'll keep you up at night. All right, let's get into it. So this happened to me back in the fall of 2022. My name's Alex Thompson, and I was working late at this tech startup in the Loop. You know, one of those glass towers where the bosses think overtime is a badge of honor. I was burning the midnight oil on some code that just wouldn't compile, staring at my screen until my eyes felt like they were bleeding. By the time I wrapped up, it was pushing 1 a.m. The streets were dead empty, just the occasional gust of wind whipping trash around like confetti from hell. I hustled over to the Clark Lake station, my sneakers echoing on the concrete stairs as I descended into that fluorescent-lit underworld.
The platform was deserted, which wasn't unusual for that hour. The digital sign flickered. Next train, 2 minutes. Red line to Howard. I leaned against a pillar, scrolling through my phone to kill time. No signal down there, of course. Classic Chicago Transit Authority move. Finally, the rumble started, that low growl building up from the tunnel. The headlights pierced the dark like angry eyes, and the train screeched to a halt. Doors hissed open. I stepped in, grabbing a pole near the front. The car smelled like stale coffee and something metallic, maybe rust from the tracks. At first glance, everything seemed normal. There were maybe a dozen people scattered around, a mix of night shift workers, drifters, the usual late-night crowd. An older guy in a worn Cubs jacket slouched in the corner seat, eyes half closed. A woman with a shopping bag clutched to her chest stared out the window. A couple of younger dudes in hoodies hunched over their phones, earbuds in. I plopped down on a bench, pulled out my earbuds, and queued up a podcast to drown out the clatter of the rails. The train lurched forward, plunging into the tunnel. Lights flickered overhead, casting long shadows that danced across the floor. That's when I noticed the quiet. Too quiet. No one was talking. No rustling of bags. No coughs or sighs. Just the steady hum of the train. I glanced around, trying not to be obvious about it. The old guy in the Cubs jacket, his chest wasn't rising and falling like it should. Was he asleep? Or, nah, I told myself, you're just tired, Alex. Paranoia from too much caffeine. But then, the woman with the shopping bag, her reflection in the window caught my eye. She hadn't blinked. Not once. Her eyes were fixed on the blackness outside, unseeing. I shook it off, focused on my podcast. Some true crime episode about disappearances in the subway system. Ironic, right? The narrator's voice droned on. And that's when he realized he wasn't alone. Chills ran down my spine, but I chalked it up to the story. The train rattled on, stopping at Grand, then Chicago. Doors opened, but no one got on or off. Weird, but hey, it's late. By the time we hit Lake, I was starting to feel that itch at the back of my neck, like someone was watching me. I looked up. One of the hoodie guys had turned his head slightly. His face was in shadow, but I swear his eyes gleamed a little too bright under the hood. Okay, deep breath. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe they were all zoned out, exhausted from the day. But as we pulled away from Lake, the lights in the car dimmed for a second, just a flicker. And in that moment, I saw it. The old guy's hand, resting on his knee, it didn't look right. The skin was too smooth, too pale, like wax. And his fingers? They were perfectly still, not even a twitch. My heart skipped. I shifted in my seat, pretending to adjust my backpack. The woman with the bag, her lips were moving, but no sound came out, like she was whispering to herself. Or to someone else? The train dove deeper underground, the tunnel walls blurring past.
We approached State/Van Buren, but the announcement crackled over the speakers. Next stop, Howard. Wait, what? That couldn't be right. Howard was way up north, the end of the line. But we should have stopped at least 5 more times before that. I pulled out my phone. Still no signal. The map app wouldn't load. Panic started bubbling up. Slow at first, like a pot about to boil over. I stood up, casually, like I was just stretching. Walked to the end of the car, peering through the window into the next one. Empty. Completely empty. Back to my car. Everyone's still frozen in place. The hoodie guy, now both of them, were looking my way, heads tilted at the same odd angle. Their eyes. God, their eyes weren't right. Too wide, too glassy. Like doll's eyes. "Hey," I said, my voice echoing louder than I expected. "Anyone know why we're not stopping?" Silence. Not even a glance. The woman mouthed something again, her lips forming words I couldn't hear. I edged closer to the door, ready to bolt at the next stop, whenever that was. The train sped up, the clatter turning into a roar. Shadows played tricks on the walls, stretching and twisting like fingers reaching out.
That's when the first sound came. A low scrape, like nails on metal, from under one of the seats. I froze. It stopped, then started again, closer. My skin prickled, every hair standing on end. I backed away, bumping into the pole. The old guy, his head lolled to the side, but his eyes snapped open, locking onto mine. No emotion, just empty stare. I bolted for the emergency cord, yanking it hard. Nothing. No alarm, no slowdown. The train hurtled on, deeper into the dark. The scraping grew louder, joined by a whisper, faint like wind through cracks, but words, indistinct but urgent. The woman stood up suddenly, her bag dropping with a thud. She turned to me, face blank, and reached out a hand. Her fingers too long, joints bending wrong. Panic hit full force. I ran to the connecting door, slamming the button. It wouldn't budge. Behind me, the hoodie guys rose, movements jerky like puppets on strings. The whispers swelled, filling the car. "Join us. Stay." My breath came in gasps, fogging the glass. I pounded on the window, screaming for help, but the tunnel swallowed it all. In the reflection, I saw them closing in, not walking, gliding. The old guy's mouth opened, revealing teeth too sharp, too even. I spun around, back against the door. "What the hell are you?" I yelled. No answer, just that scraping, now right beneath me. The lights flickered out completely. Darkness swallowed everything. I felt hands, cold, unyielding, grab my arms. I thrashed, kicked, but they held fast. A voice right in my ear. "You're home now." When the lights buzzed back on, I was alone. The car empty, as if no one had ever been there. The train slowed, doors opening at my stop, Belmont, like nothing happened. I stumbled out, gasping, into the cold night air. Looked back, the car was pristine, no signs of anyone. But as the doors closed, I saw it, a single handprint on the window, fingers too long, and in the distance, the whispers echoed in my head. I never took the late train again. Sometimes at night, I hear that scraping, and I wonder, were they ever really gone? Wait, that's not the end. See, a week later, I read about it in the Tribune, a string of disappearances on the Red Line, people boarding late trains, never getting off. Authorities called it urban legend stuff, but I know better. And last night, I got a text from an unknown number. Missed the ride? Attached was a photo, me on that train, surrounded by them, smiling like I belonged. If you're listening, check your surroundings, because sometimes the last train home isn't taking you where you think. All right, I know that sounded crazy, but let me back up and give you the full details, step by step. so you can feel the creep build like I did. It started earlier that evening. I'd been at the office since 8 a.m., chugging Red Bulls to stay awake. My boss, Karen, yeah, typical name for a micromanager, had dumped a last-minute project on me. "Alex, this needs to be done by morning," she said, not even looking up from her laptop. I nodded, too tired to argue. By 10 p.m., the building was emptying out. The janitor, an old Polish guy named Stan, waved as he pushed his cart past my cubicle. "Don't stay too late, kid. Sit is weird after dark." I laughed it off. Yeah, ghosts in the elevators, right?" He just shook his head and kept going. Finally, around 1:25 a.m., I shut down my computer, grabbed my backpack, and headed out. The lobby was silent. Security desk unmanned. Outside, Michigan Avenue was a ghost town. No cabs, no pedestrians, just the wind howling between the skyscrapers. I walked the 2 blocks to the station, collar up against the chill. Fall in Chicago is brutal. The lake effect makes it feel like winter's breathing down your neck. Down the stairs, the air grew thicker, musty with that subway scent. Oil, urine, forgotten dreams. The platform had one other person, a homeless guy muttering to himself, bundled in layers. He glanced at me, eyes wild, then looked away. The sign said 5 minutes. I paced, checking my watch. 1:02 a.m. The rumble came sooner than expected.
Boarding? I didn't think twice. Sat down, earbuds in. The podcast played in the underbelly of the city where light doesn't reach. Fitting, I thought. The train pulled out smoothly. Stops came and went. Washington, Monroe, no one boarded. At Jackson, a shadow moved outside the window. Or did it? I rubbed my eyes. By Van Buren, the quiet hit me. I paused the podcast. No ambient noise. Passengers. Let's count them. Old Cubs guy, shopping bag lady, 2 hoodies, a businesswoman in a suit, typing on a laptop, keys silent, a kid with a skateboard, and a couple holding hands stiffly. 13 in total, including me. The kid's skateboard. It wasn't touching the floor. Hovered just an inch. Trick of the light. I leaned forward. Nope. And the couple, their fingers intertwined but no warmth, no movement. Like statues. Heart racing now. I stood, walked to the map on the wall. We should have stopped at Harrison by now. The announcement skipped it. Next stop, Cermak, Chinatown. What? That's skipping half the loop. The scraping started then. From the floor vents, like something clawing its way up. I jumped back. The businesswoman looked up, her laptop screen blank, eyes on me. "Excuse me," I said, voice cracking. "Is this train express or something?" She smiled, too wide, teeth gleaming unnaturally. No words. Back to my seat, sweat beading on my forehead. The whispers began faint like static. "Stay with us." I pulled my earbuds out. Not from there. From them. The shopping bag lady's lips moving in sync with the others. I tried the door to the next car again. Locked. Pounded on it. "Hey, conductor!" Nothing. The train accelerated. Lights dimming. In the half-dark, their faces shifted. Skin paling. Eyes sinking. The kid dropped his skateboard. It clattered, but he didn't react. Terror gripped me. I hid in the corner, phone flashlight on, battery dying. The scraping intensified, floor vibrating. Something bumped my foot. A hand? No, just a loose bolt. But then, a real hand, cold, on my shoulder. The old guy, standing over me. "You're the last one," he rasped, voice like gravel. I screamed, shoved him. He fell like a sack, but got up too fast, joints cracking wrong. The others rose, circling. Darkness again, hands everywhere, pulling, whispering, "Home, home." Lights on, alone.
Stop at Belmont. Out I went, legs jelly. Called a friend, Mark, from a payphone. Yeah, they still have those. Dude, you sound wrecked. Bad trip? I told him everything. He laughed. Lay off the energy drinks, man. But the article, real. 5 missing that week on the red line. And the text? From a number traced to a burner phone found in an abandoned station. Last twist? Last month, I saw the old guy on the street. Cubs jacket. He smiled. I ran. If this train's your ride, get off early. Because once you're the only human, you're not.